Hi everyone, I'm Wendy, and in today's video, I'll be showing you various different methods for cooking without oil. There's a lot of debate out there about whether to avoid or include any kind of oil in your diet. And I'm not here to convince you one way or another, but if you're curious to see the reasons why I personally choose to avoid oil, I'll put a link above to the video where I share my reasons. But if you've already decided to reduce or eliminate oil completely, today's video will show you how. We'll cover tips and tricks for various cooking preparations that typically include oil, such as sauteing, roasting, preparing salad dressings, and more. So let's get right into it. Let's start with sauteing. Technically, the definition of saute is to cook something in fat or oil, but I also use this term for any oil-free cooking in a skillet. I differentiate it by calling it a water saute or a steam saute, because technically this method of cooking is steaming your veggies rather than sauteing them. When sauteing, oil is generally used to help prevent sticking, but it's very easy to solve this problem. If you want, you can use a nonstick pan, but a stainless steel pan works just as well. You'll simply start by preheating a dry pan. One quick way to test if the pan is hot enough is to throw a little water on it, and if the water beads up and rolls around, it's ready. Then you'll dump your veggies in and let them sit untouched for a couple of minutes. Letting the veggies sit in the hot pan before stirring them will help them to caramelize and add flavor to your dish. Then you'll simply use water or broth to deglaze your pan. Deglazing is a term that means pouring liquid in a hot pan to release any little bits that have stuck to the pan. That's where a lot of the flavor has developed. So when you pour the water or broth on it, it releases it and disperses it back into the dish. Depending on what you're sauteing, you may not need to add any liquid at all. Onions and mushrooms, for example, contain a lot of water on their own, which will start to release as they cook. And sometimes that's enough liquid to keep everything moving freely in the pan. The one thing to keep in mind is when you're sauteing without oil, you may just need to keep a closer eye on the pan. In addition to preventing sticking, the other main advantage of oil is it lets you walk away from the pan. This is important for restaurant chefs who are cooking many different things at once because the oil provides a protective layer that helps to prevent the food from burning if you're not stirring it constantly. But as long as you check your pan every couple minutes and give things a stir or a splash of water, you shouldn't have a problem. With a little practice, you'll get the hang of it in no time. Plus, you'll be saving yourself hundreds of excess calories in the process. Next up, let's talk about roasting. Whether you're roasting veggies or chickpeas and other beans, oil is often used to prevent your food from sticking to the pan, to help seasonings to stick to the veggies, and to help the veggies brown and crisp up. But you can achieve these same goals without oil. To prevent things from sticking to the pan, you'll want to use parchment paper or silicone baking mats. And then you really have two options for roasting without oil. Option 1 is simply to omit the oil. There's no need to replace it with anything. This is what I do more often than not. Usually, whatever I'm cooking already has a little bit of moisture in it, which helps any seasonings to stick, and you can achieve similar browning and crispy texture with a few techniques. If you have a convection setting on your oven, this circulates the air and will help to crisp things up. Or an air fryer will also give you a similar texture without oil. I usually roast everything around 375 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. For veggies that don't take very long to cook, like broccoli and peppers, you can just throw them on a baking sheet and bake them until they start to turn brown. But for veggies that take longer to cook, like potatoes, you may want to pre-cook them. I like to steam my potatoes in the Instant Pot, but you can also steam them on the stovetop. And I always keep pre-cooked potatoes in the fridge so I can quickly make fries anytime. You simply cut the pre-cooked potatoes into fries or cubes and then roast them. This method ensures the inside of your potatoes are fluffy and fully cooked through while the outside will be crispy. Option 2 for roasting is to replace the oil with another liquid. This can just be water, some kind of vinegar, or Aquafaba, which is the liquid left over from a can of beans or from your home-cooked beans. Most people use the Aquafaba from chickpeas, but the liquid from cooking any kind of bean is technically Aquafaba. Of course, if you're using the liquid from black beans or other darker colored beans, it'll be murky and could affect how visually appealing your final dish is, which is one advantage to chickpea Aquafaba. If you are using it for roasting, use it just like you would with oil. Pour it over your veggies, mix them up, and then put them on your baking sheet and bake as we did before. Aquafaba can replace oil in other ways, which we'll discuss later, but for roasting, it can help mimic the effects of oil. Like I said, I usually don't replace the oil with anything because I find it doesn't make much difference. I tested it out with sweet potatoes, and I have one tray that was coated in aquafaba and one that was left plain. As you can see, both of them browned up pretty nicely. But again, if you had seasonings that needed a little extra liquid to stick, a little aquafaba or water will do the trick. Moving on, let's talk about a few other applications for aquafaba: grilled cheese and French toast. Aquafaba makes a great replacement for butter or oil in both of these recipes, but you will need a nonstick skillet. For grilled cheese, simply brush the aquafaba onto your bread instead of butter and cook it in a nonstick skillet. I'll put a link here for the video where I show my vegan grilled cheese if you want to see the whole process. And for French toast, you can make a mixture of plant-based milk, cinnamon and other flavorings, and a little bit of aquafaba. Dip both sides of your bread in the mixture, then cook it in a nonstick pan. Of course, you can also use nonstick skillets or griddles to make oil-free pancakes. And if you want an even easier hack, pour your pancake batter into a parchment-lined baking sheet and bake it until cooked through. This is a great way to make hassle-free pancakes that don't need any babysitting at all. Plus, they're all done at the same time. Speaking of baking, oil is often used inside of different baked goods such as muffins, cookies, and cupcakes. Depending on what purpose the oil is serving in the recipe, you can use things like applesauce, mashed banana, and mashed sweet potato or pumpkin puree. Often these substitutes work very well, so you could try them with some of your old favorite recipes. But baking can be pretty particular, so if you're not up for experimenting, I would recommend finding recipes that were written specifically to be oil-free to get the best results. Finally, let's talk about oil-free sauces and salad dressings. These are usually loaded with oil, but it's easy to make oil-free options at home. Marinara, pizza sauce, enchilada sauce, and more usually include oil. If these recipes call for oil, I just leave it out. In fact, I've been away from oil for so long that if I accidentally eat one of these with oil, I don't enjoy it as much because the oil coats the inside of your mouth and overpowers all of the other flavors. You can easily leave the oil out of these sauces, and most people won't even notice the difference. Over time, you'll start to enjoy the fresher flavor of the other ingredients when they're not overpowered by oil. With salad dressing, though, the oil usually plays a bigger role, making up a large portion of the volume of the dressing. So it usually is helpful to replace it with something. Often you can replace it with things like water, vegetable broth, or once again, aquafaba is a great substitute. For example, my mom makes an oil-free balsamic vinaigrette that uses water instead of oil. It includes equal parts of balsamic vinegar, lemon juice, and water, along with different spices. For creamier kinds of dressings, you can blend up things like white beans and steamed cauliflower, or you can get creative by blending in different fruits and vegetables like applesauce, mango, tomatoes, or zucchini. This goes for making pesto as well. I usually just blend in some extra water instead of oil, but again, aquafaba, steamed cauliflower, or white beans would add a bit of creaminess in lieu of oil. And if you're not avoiding them for any reason, nuts and seeds also are a great substitute that you can blend into salad dressings and sauces. Whether you're completely avoiding oil or just trying to cut back, I hope you got a few new ideas from this video. Hit the thumbs up if you're reducing your oil intake, and let me know your favorite oil-free cooking methods in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.